Okay. Now then, you answered the author's questions over the phone, didn't you?
Yeah.
Can you set the scene? Where exactly were you, and what was going on in your life at that particular moment?
They asked for a face-to-face, a royal visit. I said no. Seriously, if any of you see me in the street, I'll probably ignore you. But no, I was heading. I think was I heading to South Africa, and I was in the back of a car, being driven to Gatwick, going out to film some new Go Compare adverts. Which haven't been on, in case any of you don't know what the Go Compare advert is. Go Compare! There we go. That's another £3.
£3 in the bank there.
And so it was great actually, because Ellen, who did the book, it was, Carmarthen girl, and understood my background and where I'm from and why it was important to me. And it's come at a really poignant time in my life, loads of change in my life. And it seemed like a good place to talk about the story so far.
Now that's showbiz, ladies and gentlemen, fair play. All the way to South Africa. Wow, being driven, chauffeur driven. Was it a limo?
Well, it was a car.
It was okay. Yeah, you were talking about your background there. Rho chydig o dy gefndir I ni, achos nes ti dyfu fyny yn Gaerfyrddin. Oedd ti'n joio ysgol? Oedd ti'n joio byw yn Gaerfyrddin?
Na, dwi'n casau ysgol. Pan o'n i'n blentyn, dwi'n tyfu lan yng Gaerfyrddin, roedd fy mam yn torri gwallt, roedd fy nhad yn adeiladwr, ond roedd fy mam, wel, dechreuodd fy rieni cwmni opera Gaerfyrddin, ond ymunais I y cwmni pan o'n i'n 6 oed. Wel, dwi just wedi tyfu lan, dwi'n canu trwy'r amser, ond dwi'n actio yn y sioe, ond just roeddwn ni caru popeth gyda theatr, ond yn yr ysgol, hopeless.
Wel, dwi'n falch bod ti wedi deud hwnna, achos yn y llyfr, mae o'n sôn fama, rhai o'r sylwadau mi nath yr athrawon yn ysgol Wynne. Some of the comments from Wynne's teachers. Mae Wynne yn siarad gormod. Di Wynne ddim yn gwrando. Dydy Wynne ddim yn canolbwyntio. Doesn't concentrate. a hwn di'r beth dwi'n hoffi the most. Dwi eisiau Wynne I weithio mwy. I want Wynne to do more work. Fair comment?
Yeah, my music teacher used to, in order for me to focus on music, I love music so much, but in order for me to focus on music, my music teacher would lock me in the store cupboard, send me in for paper, then lock me in and say, right, your homework is in there, you've got to do the homework before I let you out. It wouldn't be allowed now.
Is that legal?
Yeah, I don't think it would be allowed now, but it's what I needed to focus down on academic studies. And I was really glad for that, because when I went to college, what I didn't realise is, to be an opera singer, it's not just about being able to sing, it's about being able to read music, know about music history to a huge level, not just about knowing when Mozart was born, or what the Baroque period is, or what the classical period is. It's about knowing about all the composers, knowing about the style, and what people don't realise to be an opera singer, it's about speaking French fluently, German, Italian. I worked a lot in Czech, I worked a lot in Russian, and I worked in countries all over the world where, that you need to have a working. We would do rehearsals, say we were in Italy, all the rehearsals would be taken in Italian. So if you couldn't speak Italian, you wouldn't have a clue what people were asking you to do. And so it was a pretty steep learning curve. When I got to college, it was pretty steep that I'm going to have to learn Italian, I'm going to have to learn French, I'm going to have to learn German. And so that was hugely important to me, that my music teacher, who was probably, apart from my parents and Dennis O'Neill, probably one of the most inspirational people in my life, and still really grateful and keep in contact with her to this day. So yeah, I was rubbish in school, absolutely rubbish, there is no question about it. I would rather stay at home than go to school. But it was important for me to go, really.
Oedd perfformio yn dy waed o oedran ifanc?
Ie, siwr o bod. Dwedais i dweud eto, pan o'n i'n blentyn, roedd fy mam yn dechreuodd y Theatr Cymru, opera ieuenctid yn Gaerfyrddin, a dwi just wario llawer o amser yn y theatr, yn y Lyric Theatr yn Carmarthen, yng Nghyfyrddin. Felly roedd fy rhieni yn achub y theatr o damwain, demolition?
Yeah.
O damwain? Oh no, that's accident. What's demolition? Dymchwel. A dwi just, roedd i byw yn y theatr pob diwyrnod. So, gwylais i opera trwy'r amser, drama trwy'r amser, llawer o pethau. A dwi just wedi dwlu y theatr. A dwi just tyfu lan yn y theatr. Felly, pan oedd hi'n mynd i'r coleg, mae llawer o brofiad cyn i fi mynd. Felly mae dechrau perffaith am y byd perfformio.
Ti'n sôn bod you were talking how your parents and Dennis O'Neill and a lot of people were very inspirational in your life. Sadly, you lost your mother when she was only 60. And the book is very, very honest. You talk about how that had an effect on your life and knocked your confidence, whether that was performing in a village hall or the Royal Albert Hall.
Yeah, it was devastating. And what happened was my mother died, and I went back to work the next day, and I was singing at the Albert Hall the next day. And I remember standing there in the middle of the stage, and it was just before Christmas. It was one of these Christmas concerts, and I was singing Ave Maria. And I remember thinking, what am I doing here? This is the biggest mistake I'm making. And I got home that night, and basically I got really bad stage fright, and I couldn't get on stage anymore. And so the problem wouldn't be being on stage. The problem would be the night before a performance, I wouldn't be able to sleep. And if you can't sleep, then your voice takes its toll. And so I didn't really sing for 6 months, and it had a massive knock-on effect on my career. Because people stopped booking me, because I started to be unreliable, because I would cancel the day of a show all the time, and psychologically that takes over in your head. And I just thought I couldn't sing anymore, and I didn't want to sing anymore, and I didn't want to be in front of 3,000, 10,000, 20,000 people pretending to be enjoying it, when actually I would have done anything else. I would have worked in a shop, I would have gone and got a regular job. What I didn't want to do was sing. I absolutely hated it. And I realized pretty quickly that I had to get myself together. So after 6 months, and I'm really not the kind of person that goes for the weird and wonderful alternative medicine, but a friend of mine, a doctor, came to see me in Rigoletto, and I cancelled. It was with Welsh National Opera, and I cancelled. And he rang me that night, and he said, "You cancelled?" I said, "Yeah, I'm not feeling very well. I've got a cold." He said, "I don't think you've got a cold. I think you've just made it up not to sing." And he said, "Why don't you try some hypnotherapy?" And I said, because it's pointless, because it's a waste of time. It doesn't work. It's a wacky medicine, and it's not for me. And anyway, he persuaded me to go, and I went. And I don't even know if it worked, but she said something that really resounded with me, and it was this. It was what you've got to realise, because I thought, when I went out on stage, I thought everybody wanted me to fail. And so I wouldn't turn up to a performance because I thought I wouldn't give people the satisfaction of me failing. So she said to me, 99% of the people in the audience have paid 60 quid for a ticket or 50 quid for a ticket, and they want you to be brilliant. And you've got to remember that most people want you to be fantastic. And it's just the penny dropped there and then, and I just thought, yeah, she's right. And I went home that night, and I slept like I'd never slept before, and I went back to singing the next day. So I don't even know if it was hypnotherapy or whether it was something that just resonated, but it was the best 50 quid I've spent.
Wow, powerful stuff. Diolch, Wynne. Okay, a question ola. Last question, we have to talk about your alter ego, Mr. Gio Compario, quite possibly the best opera singer in the world. Is it fair to say that those popular but extremely annoying adverts have changed your life?
Yeah, I don't know if any of you are familiar with the Go Compare adverts. Yeah? No. So. Yeah, I'll give it to you again. Go Compare. There we go. It changed my life. Shall I tell you the story? What happened? I got a phone call from a mate of mine called Steve Sidwell, who conducted a concert at the Albert Hall with Robbie Williams called Sing When You're Swinging. And Steve had asked me to do a Walker's Crisps advert. I was the voice of Gary Lineker in a Walker's Crisps ad. And not the body doll double, unfortunately, but maybe another day when I shed 25 stone. And he said, look, there's this company called Go Compare, and they're looking for somebody to sing in their adverts. So he said, will you go? And I said, look, I don't want to do an advert because I just got back into singing after the stage fright properly. And I got my dream job. I'd started to sing at the Royal Opera House as a principal. And I remember, actually, just to sidetrack a moment, if I may, my first day at the Royal Opera House, right? I'm going to stand up for this because you've got to see me to believe it, right? I walked in through the door at the Royal Opera House, and the girl on the door at the Royal Opera House is from Cwmbran. And I walked in through the door. It was the first day of my dream job, and I said to her, hello, I'm a new guest artist. And she actually turned round to me and said, are you with the Royal Opera or the Royal Ballet? That is a true story, right? And I turned to her and I was like, what do you think, love? Have a stab in the dark. And she said, are you with the Royal Opera? Yes, I'm with the Royal Opera. So I went there.
Were you in a tutu at the time?
I was in a tutu, which was the giveaway. Yeah. Don't start, otherwise I'll tell some of your weird secrets.
Oh, okay.
So I got this phone call like the day after I started there to go and do this advert. So I went down, I didn't go to the audition, and then they couldn't find the right person. And so they said they'd pay me to go to the audition. So I went to the audition then, and I sang, and they said, oh look, we booked this actor to play the role, but we'd really, like you to sing it. Could you get a little bit more character into your voice, though? So I started throwing my arms around just to try and get more character. So it was like, go compare, with just a few clicks, doing all of this. They suddenly thought, because what I hadn't realised is that Go Compare is a Welsh company based in Newport, and the brief had been, can you find, listen to this for a brief. Can you find a singer who is Welsh, who is overweight, and can act? And you've seen me in the advert, I'm a brilliant actor. Don't laugh at that wasn't a joke. And so what happened was, I went to the audition, they saw me. Now the people that wrote the ad, some of you will remember this, some of the more senior members in the audience, I certainly do. If you remember the Mash Get Smash advert, for Mash Get Smash. So it's the same people that wrote that advert, and they devised the little red phone for Direct Line, they devised Sheila's Wheels, they wrote the Shake and Vac advert. It's a husband and wife couple, and they devised the Go Compare advert. And so they said to me, look, will you be in the advert? And I said, no, I don't want to be in the advert. And so they said, well, at least meet the owner of the company. So I went down and I met the owner of the company. Well, basically, what I said initially was, no, because I'm going home for the weekend. I don't want to not see my kids. I said, so I'm going to Wales. And he said, it's okay, she lives in Wales. And I said, yeah, but I'm going to be in Cardiff. And they said, no, it's okay, she lives in Cardiff. And I said, yeah, but I'm going to be in North Cardiff. I was trying to find every excuse not to do this job. Because basically I thought it was rubbish. And not anymore. Not now I got a Bentley. And that's a joke, by the way, I haven't.
Got two.
No. And so I met her. She lived 2 streets away from me. And I met her in the local pub, and my kids played in the beer garden, and her kids played in the beer garden, and we did the Go Compare deal there and then. And so the advert went on to be, you know, it was the reason why the Go Compare advert was really famous is that for 3 reasons. It had a massive media spend. So what I mean by that is it was on TV all the time. I mean, even to this day, the advert is on TV 6,000 times a week. Within the first week of any campaign that we make, this is just to tell you how massive this campaign is. Within the first week of any new campaign that we do, 98% of the population of the UK will come into contact with the advert in some way, through printed media, through a billboard, through television, through radio. So it is it's a huge campaign. So that's the first reason. The second reason was, I don't know if you noticed, but it's got a really catchy tune that gets into your ear, and it was like a earworm. And the third reason was that it was the first major advertising campaign to be released within the age of social networking. And so people could instantly tell you what they thought of the advert. And believe me, people didn't like the advert at all.
Did they not?
People hated it. And I remember a friend of mine, I'll try not to go on too long, but I remember a friend of mine ringing me up and saying, what a shame that the hate site for Wynne Evans, the Go Compare man, has got a lot more members than the like site for Wynne Evans, the Go Compare man on Facebook. So I went onto Facebook to have a look, and I, like Wynne Evans, the Go Compare man, after a week of the advert being on air, had 15,000 likes. I hate Wynne Evans, the Go Compare man. I went on to look at it, had a lot more. So what I thought I would do is, I thought I would look up somebody on Facebook that I hated and see how many likes they had on their hate site. So the person I chose was Nick Griffin, who used to be the leader of the British National Party. I don't want to get political at all, but I thought that he was quite an unpleasant human being. And Nick Griffin had 75,000 people on Facebook that didn't like him. Within a week of the advert being on air, I Hate Wynne Evans, the Go Compare man, had 2.75 million likes. It was absolutely brutal, right? So I got quite depressed about this. And I went in to see them at Go Compare, and I said to them, I'm quite depressed about this. What are we going to do? And they said, you know what? This was within the first year of the advert being on air. They'd been losing £30 million a year until the advertising campaign went on. Within the first year, they'd paid off all their debts, and they'd made a profit of £30 million. And 2 years ago, Go Compare floated on the stock exchange for £850 million. So it's been a massive advertising campaign. So to come back to your question, has it affected my life? It could not affect my life. Wherever you go, whether you sit there now and say, I hate that ad, you'll still know the ad. So annoying is another word for effective. And so, somebody's singing it now. So, it's one of those ads that gets into your head. And advertising is such a complicated industry. To get a campaign that has been like this one is like a once in a lifetime. You can name the Oxo family, the Mash Get Smash aliens, the Hamlet adverts in the 80s perhaps, and I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the meerkats, because my campaign was in reaction to the meerkats, and I think that's also a brilliant campaign. But I think the Go Compare campaign now stands up against that. It's been on for 10 years, and long may it continue.
Brilliant, diolch yn fawr iawn, Wynne. Felly, llyfr Wynne o Gaerfyrddin i Go Compare. Dyna chi cwbl o bethau fydd yn y llyfr. Mae'r llyfr ar gael draw fan'na, y llyfr gyda llaw. CAA Cymru sydd wedi cyhoeddi Bywgraffiad Wynne, cwmni cyhoeddi sy'n rhan o Brifysgol Aberystwyth ydi CAA Cymru. So if you want to get a copy, a few snippets there of what's in the book. They will be available at the back there, and Wynne will stick around and sign them for you. Felly, clap mawr i Wynne Evans.